Okay, that should be working now. This technology stuff is really confusing. That's my brain. Restream does suck very much. I suppose it's their intention is that you use their product and go full through Restream. I only want to use Restream's chat, and if it worked properly, I'll be willing to pay for it a little bit every month because it joins the stream's chat together. But it works maybe 1 out of 5 or 6 times for me, and I don't know what I set up different every time. I do know that if I open OBS before I do it, it never worked. So yeah, joy is what it is. Yeah, I've been tempted. I've been tempted because I do like the idea of having YouTube live at the same time. I would like to make sure that if anyone goes into, because I'm like hovering on subscribers on YouTube. I go up to like 504 and then come back down to 401, 499, and then go back up. People don't interact on YouTube because it's just not. There's no activity. People react to activity, and even if I'm talking away, um, they just think no one's watching. So at least if the chat was there, they'd know that people are there and they can interact. So because people do occasionally join YouTube, it's just very hard for discovery. Um, but the stats bear out that I do get views after stream. I normally end up with like 40 to 70 views after stream. But anyway, uh, don't suggest again. So, what I've done the last couple of days, and good morning, maybe, I'm sorry, or good afternoon. I hope you are well today. Um, and dealing data, sorry. I'm flustered. I said hello in the chat and then didn't even think about using my words. I do apologize. Um, welcome in. So I got up like 10 minutes ago, or 15 minutes ago. So I'm a little bit discombobulated. Um, okay, so the last couple of days have been focused on getting the data to populate notifications, right? So the goal being that notifications need that's the API part of notifications. That's these two are part of the same system. I should try and figure out my diagram a bit better. Um, so this piece of the system needs to know the basic information of the things it's going to notify on. So notifications is not going to be um, notifications is not going to be a hey, here's um, this value changed to this value changed to this value changed to this. It's going to be a hey, by the way, these things have changed. You might want to go look at them. That's the intention of notifications. It's more of a signal to you that things have changed enough. So, but I need to capture the bare minimum of the data, which is the title or who's assigned to something, which means I need at least the username and the titles of tasks, of deliverables, of initiatives, etc. So I've started building out those pieces into notifications. Now it is because because Kafka already has them, I can just pick out those pieces and add that data in there. This is where the ETL stuff comes in though, because if I'd done this, if I do this later, I'll say, oh, I want to add initiatives, and I've got 50 initiatives in there. I can't just push them back to Kafka. I don't want to be building mechanisms for my system to like, oh, you need to push the data there because that I've done that in the past and that's not a very good way of doing it. So I need an ETL thing to be able to understand. Oh, I need to pull the data from this database, put it in that database. So I'll do that. I managed to get a clone of my system running in a VM, which is kind of cool. So you imaged your PC and then loaded that VM as a VM. Nice. That's a pretty cool way of doing it, I suppose. You are definitely one of the more virtualized people I have come across. So yeah, so now deliverables contains in oh, I need to do oh yeah, you kind of you kind of need to know. So if I do C, okay. Helps if you actually have everything running. So, yeah, so I want to convert my main system to a Proxmox box, but I'm obviously using it. So I could clone on my PC, made a VM on another system with it, and I should be able to get Proxmox up here locally and go Linux. Or do system easily whilst I migrate. Nice. And if you, I suppose, if you don't like it, you can always get the image back and reinstall. So your main PC is an actual Windows box. It's not a virtualized box. It's a main box. You just got an image of it. Now put that out there, and now you can, yeah, nice, very cool, very impressive. Okay, so that should run. There you go. So now deliverables. That's sunlight. We're at that time of year again. The sun's not high enough in the sky. So yeah, so with deliverables now I have the state and the title, so I can display that requirements, similar thing, tasks, etc. And users. So this is the basic information necessary. That doesn't take any update, has it either? Mustn't have been running. So that's the basic information required for those things. So let's get to running Kaizu. Something's not liking life today. It's heating up. Oh, not that. There you go. Okay. Okay, so that's running. And now if we go to Chrome, should be able to still see stuff. Stuff should still work. Um, so now if we go to implementation deliverables, this is the one I'm kind of planning out right this second, obviously. Um, this is the, what the heck? I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's weird that it did that to me a minute ago. Don't know why that didn't load in. That's not got chasing bugs. So yeah, this is capture required data. So, oh, is it doing that again? Okay, no, that was just me. You know that time when you think, is everything working as I want it to work? Because I'm pretty sure I updated that text content last night before bed. Could be dreaming. That's a task. No, I didn't update it. If anything's going to test Kafka, it's going to be this, because one day I'm going to have to put in enough content in there to see how big that can get before it's too big. And decide whether I want, because Kafka has a limit of 1 meg per message or per event or per whatever you call it. Now that's quite a lot of text. But if I hit that limit, it won't send the message. And if someone, I don't know if there's a natural limit I should put in there, like what is too big for this, you know? Yeah, things are not. I swore I changed that. Oh no, I didn't. I didn't change it because it errored on me. That's why. Okay, so if we go to boards and we go to LSP6, this errored on me. That's what I was looking at last night. Testing things working. It's save. Tasks must be assigned to a sprint before moving to in progress. That's not the right message. That suggests that there's a client doing that. Sprint required for this status. That's a JavaScript error, not a client, not a server error. That's a. If requires sprint and not normalized sprint, structural rule in progress complete requires sprint. But it has a sprint. Does it not? The fact that it's in this freaking screen suggests it's got a sprint. Have I not loaded the sprint data up? Interesting. I don't like that. That's not the way I would write all that code. The challenge of letting Claude go at it. But I don't know enough about Angular structure to be able to question too much, so it's the price I pay. Tasks must be assigned to a sprint. Let me see this. CD. Stony, hello, thank you. Canny, hello, how you doing? Okay, so we'll let the bot go off and do that. Send help, I'm addicted. Hi, Stony, how you doing? Canny, thank you very much for the 30 bits. Code is now stolen. Oh, you get what you pay for. Sleepy but good, how's you? Um, similar, similar. I was up at 4 a.m., awake for about an hour, and then fell back asleep, and then woke up late for stream. So yeah, the point of should I just get up and just start my day? Well, I decided to sit there and fall asleep again. Okay, so what I need to do right this second is I need to sleep is good for you. Apparently, yeah, I keep getting told that. Can he broke your Twitch app? How did he break your Twitch app? Which one? Hmm. That's that. I'm trying not to divert onto things. So anyway, the notifications piece of this, the intention is that when you subscribe to a thing, so as it's processing this piece, this publish user change notification is going to be a little richer than this, and we're going to use Kafka for it, but we'll have to consider the size of that. Aaron, good morning. How you doing? My emote changed for his, and I can't select the emote anymore. My emote changed for his, and I can't select the emote anymore. Interesting. I sent it to you. Yep. Why isn't? Huh. That is definitely broken, isn't it? That is not working as intended for certain. Uh, I'm good driving out to my hometown to see my granny, so I won't be active very much, but we'll have the stream open, of course, almost like it's a podcast. Well, Darren, I appreciate that. Having driven around Scotland a little bit, yeah, well, that's at least that should be a nice drive. Okay, um, so what I need to determine is there's a few things I need to figure out here, and that is, um, oh no, I actually need to track other things. I need to do a little bit more here before I do anything drastic. So LSP6 is required capture the required data and notifications. So this is basically integrating that information into that to allow me to track the notifications level. So again, if I subscribe to the deliverable and I say, hey, I want to know when tasks are added. When tasks are added, notifications has to track that and decide if it's going to send something now to the person or if it needs to do it on a timer. So that's going to get a little bit more complicated. The Don't you love it when your thought just goes straight away? The notifications component needs to know the time frame. So if you want to do immediate, you want to do weekly, you want to do daily updates, it should know that, because it needs to know, oh, do I need to hold on to this information, or do I want to send it immediately? So there's definitely it's kind of this ownership, right? So the notifications needs to care about immediate, daily, weekly, and the notifications need to care about any parameters. And notifications right now does care about parameters. So there is already the concept of an entity subscription, and that subscription will track parameters, and those parameters are the property you're watching and from and to. That might need to change, and I'm not quite sure how. Because I'm thinking there you might want property equal, property greater than, property, like, the true filter. But I think we worry about adding the time frame subscription before we do that. So we can just do, we don't need to do the filtering right this second. What we need to do is can I have a subscription that will notify me on a time frame? And testing that, we're going to have to mess around with some integration testing to validate that, because I'm not going to hack the code to deal um, with doing that in the actual application. So yeah, we'll do it that way. Will that break Eric? No. That's funny, son. So you sent. Sorry, I'm going back to what you sent me, but now I'm looking at send help. I'm addicted. I see the broken canny thing on yours, but I see your. Yeah, I see that. That's interesting. Uh, I shall reside to the lurking shadows and be a good little Stony lurker. No worries, Stony. Thank you very much. Thank you for the lurk. Appreciate it. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. So what we need to do here is we need to plan this out a little bit more. So let's go planning. Now, I'm not using this the way it's intended, right? I'm using this in kind of I'm all over the place. I'm kind of semi adding things in at certain times. It's not ideal. So this is the actual communication side of it. This is actually getting the email to send. So we don't need that right this second. What we need is these pieces. So we're going to add a can this is capturing time period and notification. Um, Time period requested along with the parameters of the. Now this can be technical. I can actually outline this stuff in here. The intention of tasks is to be technical, along with the parameters of the notification. So update subscription parameters in notifications include a time period Now, again, what we're going to do is we're going to have to introduce some concept of a timer, some sort of watch process to actually achieve this, because we can't wait for a notification to be told something changed to trigger the change, right? We can't. That subscription is going to fire on Saturdays or whatever. So, time period. Uh, so day to notify. So if I say, hey, I want to be told on a Monday, we're going to go with it's going to notify you first thing, like within the working hours that you set, right? So if you set your working hours, your quiet time as being, or rather your working hours as being between 9 and 5, it will probably notify you within a few minutes of 9 a.m. If you don't, then we'll have to figure that out. Because I think what we should do is on the day we should fire it, and then the notification system will say, oh, it's Monday. You need to be told. So notifications doesn't care about what time frame. We're not hard coding that in there. We're just saying, oh, is it a Monday? Yeah. Does this person want to be told on a Monday? Yes. Okay. Tell them. Communications will gate that by holding the quiet hours of the user and only telling them within the time frame. Right. So it won't be spamming notifications at 1 a.m. So that will work that way. Date to notify. So that's immediate, daily, weekly. Date to notify. Right. If you want to be notified on the weekend, okay, that's going to be an interesting one to set up against the quiet times, because you don't work 9 to 5 on a Saturday and Sunday. Oh, you likely aren't in using this sort of system. We need to create an enumeration for the time period. We need to update the parameters on the subscription. We need to enrich. It's not just about capturing time period. Update notification parameters. Enrich the so I don't think. Did this find anything, by the way? Root calls, the sprint board opens tasks in task detail dialog. Its edit form only declares 6 controls. Has no sprint control on save. Save update builds the update payload from only the ID and form values. So the payload reaches task store update with sprint undefined. That's interesting regression. The sibling task edit view component does it right by spreading the whole task first. Gotcha. Okay, so that should work now. That's awesome. Did I just lose that dialogue because I navigated away? Or did I close that? I'm going to go with I close that, whatever. So right now, Entity Subscriptions gives me the thing I'm subscribing to. So when we save this, we'll go, oh, this deliverable we care about, right? Now, I'm thinking that I need to also add tenant ID on there. Oh no, I have tenant identifier. Okay, I've already gone through that path. Okay, so tenant identifier needs to be in there. I need to create make sure there's an index on those things eventually. Subscription parameters. is the one that's going to be a little bit deficient. We're going to need a new table for subscription. Now, this is where this gets a little strange, right? So, right in the first version of this, I introduced it as a subscription with parameters. But the same entity can be subscribed to from with multiple notifications. So the pattern, the design here is wrong. Because I don't even know how to draw what I'm trying to say here. I think I need one record per. I think I need to pivot the language a little bit here. So, right this second, when you go into a planning backlog in progress, here, when I go into here right now and it's saying turn on notifications, this is a subscription, right? But it's actually one subscription for this screen right a second. What I'm going to do is introduce the ability to add records in it. So I think the language is wrong though on that one. Is it a subscription at all? Or is each one a subscription? Like, is that language correct? Is each one a subscription? Because I could have a daily and a weekly subscription on the same thing. Yeah, so then this gets a time frame and I can add multiple subscriptions. And then subscription parameters control what I'm being told about. But this is the one that's going to be slightly deficient because this might be, I care about tasks added, because the tasks added one's going to be challenging because right now this works nice and easy in terms of it says, oh, do I have any subscriptions for this entity? Yes, I do. Okay. Then go ahead. If the task is added, my subscription is to the deliverable, not to the task. So this is going to get a little bit more complicated. This actually might be somewhere where I start to use Akka again, because Akka can then spread this load and make these decisions in a little bit more refined manner. Because with Akka, what I do is say, hey, I've got a change to process. What entity is it against? Oh, it's against the deliverable. Okay, let's go into the deliverables path. Now, in the deliverables path, yeah, I can break down those behaviors a little bit more. Because I can say, okay, what type of subscription is it? Okay, well, now it goes to the weekly one, then that does something different than an immediate. Because an immediate notification will send an immediate notification. This is where the actor pattern might actually help me a lot, because I can break up this behavior in a very descriptive way. Just a little challenging from a coding perspective how to approach that. But yeah, because then we would end up with let's do that. So we want so a task is added. We're going to, in there, we're going to listen to, so receivers here are broken up into a few different things. So this is the individual thing, but this changes receiver is what's going to trigger. And now this is where it gets a little bit messier, because this is a deliverable change, I'd move this out to an actor and say, okay, process the change. And the actor would say, okay, what type of change is it? What object is it for? So in this case, this is a deliverable. But in the other case, I'll get a task. So what type of change, right? So if we go here, we have deliverable, right? And we have task. This is assuming tasks changes are actually fully in place yet. So now, yeah, okay, they're working. Okay, so now on a task, it's again twofold, right? So it's am I subscribed to task, right? If yes, then notify a task. If no, it's not quite as simple as just it's I must subscribe to that deliverable, right? I must subscribe to the parent of this task. And the tasks get to deliverables by requirements. Requirements are associated with deliverables. Tasks are associated with requirements. The task never has a direct link to a deliverable because the task can be standalone as well. So the idea there is not to make it tightly bound to the deliverable. Right? So I didn't want to build that relationship there. So if a deliverable is subscribed for that task, then um, then we need to um, time period, and if not, then it doesn't. No doesn't matter, right? So no is no action. What's up? I say a lot. It is my thinking noise. Oh, yeah, Okay, so I want to check on. I need to check on something else there. I can't remember what I was going to check on. So the answer pattern here would be really useful because changes could come in quite fast, right? If I do this all in one piece of code, if I did this in a traditional like big block of code, this will involve lots of queries, lots of updates, and this is just what we've got so far. This is just this immediate need. And again, this goes because this again translates to if it's immediate, then send. If it's otherwise, queue, and then we need another process. Um, Scheduler, and the scheduler would monitor that queue, right? So yeah, what I was thinking about is what happens. How much code do I actually have here to do any of this? So the reason I'm considering the actor pattern again is or using Akka specifically, Akka.net, is in here then where I end up with this sorry, this changes receiver. So right now the changes receiver gets this, checks the entity type. If it's deliverable, which is lovely and lots of strings here, right? I don't technically need this. I'm going to move OpenTelemetry out and make that a completely different thing. I was testing OpenTelemetry there. So ultimately all I'm doing is here. But if I move this out to a decision, then I'll say, hey, send the change to the actor. And I've done that in the changes piece. Receivers, change receiver. No, I didn't do it there, did I? Oh, interesting. Well, changes, not pipelines. So this it looks something similar to this, right? Where it'd say, okay, process actor and tell it about the event. Pass that event down, and now that event makes a decision. The benefit of doing that is this then turns around and receives the next message, right? So the queue, Kafka is not held up. Kafka is not stopping processing this. So I get the messages coming in. The downside is I need to probably put an inbox here to buffer that so that I don't end up with, if that process crashes, I don't end up with a lot of data loss. So I'd want to protect against that. So an inbox might be coming in soon, a general pattern of an inbox, because if I'm going to break, so I'm going to break out into the world of Akka and start building out actors for this stuff, then I probably want to get a little bit more resilience built in there before I get too deep down that rabbit hole. And again, what Akka gives me is this is processed as a single process and it has its own queue. Once it passes a message off to this one, this actor has its own queue, right? And I think there's retention policies for the queues. I'm not sure. I'll have to dig deeper into Akka. Retention mechanisms, not policies. So, but this has its own queue. So if a message comes in here, it gets sent there, then it gets the next message in here, and that's already processing its thing. So it's scaling out those requests. So the actors each process one message at a time. They can't process more. I think there is an actual fan out possible because you can spool multiple instances of this service and distribute the load across them. But for right now, in my simplistic scenario, having this working would be beneficial because it means as I'm processing changes, I know that it will at least deal with a little bit more distributed load, even if it's only ever in one process. It's not doing it everything as one thing. So each one of these would be an actor, right? So this would, this would be the task actor. In this case, that'd be deliverable actor, right? This would be this would just be making a decision. Right? So each one of these would be an actor and do its job. So when this one gets it, it says, okay, there. Now, notification send would be an actor and it would receive, what we'd have to figure out there is what does it get told? Because the immediate send versus queued send might be different, but ultimately this should be sending a chunk of text to a chunk of an object structure containing here's all the things you need to be notified of, and um, here's um, here's what am I thinking about there, brain? Yeah, here's all the deliverables, or here's a task you cared about, or whatever. So if we, again, when we subscribe to initiative, this gets a little bit more granular because the task is like, okay, if I want to know about tasks added, if I ever want to know about tasks added at the initiative level, then I'm probably doing it wrong. I'm probably asking for the wrong things. But the deliverables at the initiative level, etc., all introduce something similar here. So we're going to have to see what these patterns are. But what this does give me is the ability to break up the pieces of code into their responsibilities and make the workflow flexible in that I can just flip and change which pieces call which pieces without actually making this one big method that I have to test. I can actually test them independently of each other to know that given the data coming in, they would perform the right action. So it might be complicated, it might be overly complex for what I'm doing right this second, but this is why I'm doing this project. It's not because I want to do I just want to do the simple, quickest thing every time. So I think in terms of language, these are subscriptions. So instead of one-to-one, I end up with the same entity multiple times. So I can subscribe to it multiple times. This would contain the time frame on the subscription, because this screen then would become add a subscription, and then so yeah. Yeah. And then subscription parameters, I think we tackle later, because for right now, we care about. I suppose I could store a more. I could store an object there instead of that. I could store an actual more dynamic object. Because if I say I want to care about, let's think. And apologize for the waffle. I apologize for the chat. If you've not been here before, this is Kaizu. This is a project management and planning application I'm building. And right this second, I'm working on how to figure out how to have a user be able to say, tell me about things that have happened and when to tell me. Because the entire intention of this application is one of, I shouldn't need to be told, or I shouldn't need to go ask people for, what the status of things are. I should be able to see it, and when I'm not ready to see it, I can at least be told things are happening. So again, the product manager can see what is in progress. They can see what's happening. This is with development; it's not in progress. They could chase up on that if they need to. They've got a review date, so they can edit the review date of this and say, "Oh, I care about this next week." Chat is the reason we love a TV stream. Well, thank you, Darren. I appreciate it. Um, so yeah, the entire intent of this application is to be able to provide more insight without unnecessary meetings, um, without extra communication that is wasting time and diverting people. If developers are working on stuff, or DevOps, or QAs, or DBAs, they should be able to work on that stuff and not have to worry about telling people what they're up to or why they're doing certain things. That's their concern. with a goal, right? And the goal is a shared thing. So um, the entire intent is to try and make that transparent. So if you are new to the stream, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to join in. You're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm happy to talk about it. Um, so yeah. Okay. So I think I'm on the right path with this one. I think the change, for some reason, I keep thinking the blue icon is data grip, and it's not. It's the purple icon. I'm here for the good music. Each to their own. So in terms of parameters, right this second, what I need to know is this entity subscription would be for an event, wouldn't it then? It wouldn't be. So this will be the entity subscription type. So you'd say, I want to subscribe to status changes. I want to, but again, I don't. That what that does is that takes away from the possibility of me being able to. I think tasks added is not the same as review date, initiative, or status, because I think you might want to create a subscription that is, I care about if the status changes to this on this initiative. This would remove that ability because this would be for a one-to-one. So I don't think that's what I want to do here. I think that's very much because you wouldn't want to know tasks added when the status changes to, in progress. That wouldn't be useful. Tasks added would be. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe this is not. Maybe it's not a notification type. Maybe these are one set of notification types. And this is a different type. So maybe we have parameters versus events. So maybe this becomes entity subscriptions contains a subscription type and the subscription parameters and that feels like I just put the event on there. So I think I end up with I invested in my little drop down. I can use it, right? So I think I end up with subscription type. And then there's parameters, event. Would there be anything other than parameters or events? I feel this is important to kind of flesh out and understand because I don't want to have to revisit this. So I'm trying to test it like logically before I dig into any code with it. It's going to take weeks to do this piece. And this is again a piece that, because I don't understand what I'm actually fully asking for, this is one where I definitely wouldn't want to use something like Claude to do it, because I don't know how I want it designed, and I don't know how I want to capture this. And this is like, I've got a general idea of what I want, but I don't want it to be driven off of concepts that I don't really get yet. So yeah. Poisonous Mouse, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. If you have any questions, thoughts, or opinions, you're more than welcome to share. And if anyone is interested, there is a Discord server linked in the cards below on Twitch and YouTube. You're more than welcome to join. I do hang out there in the voice chat sometimes, several times a week. Yeah, always open to conversation. So these are parameters, but parameters you can combine. So you can say, hey, I want to know when the status changes to this and the initiative changes to this. And that's what that current code should be set up to do. The current code should be set up to match the parameters. So it says, oh, these parameters, do they match what we are saying they should do? And that will record, by the way, that will record GUIDs in the parameter list. It wouldn't record in here. That can be anything. So if I select a GUID type, it will record the GUID of that, because that's what it compares on the changes. There's no point trying to take the enriched changes in here and make it even more complicated, because that'd be even slower. But yeah, it already handles that piece. So if I select parameters, then I can combine one or more of these things. So that wouldn't be notification type. That would be parameter. That comes over there. And let's remove that. Grouped, so I can't do it. But anyway, so you'd have that. And then there'd be one to many of them, right? And that would be parameters. And then on an event, the parameters mean different things. So we would end up with event subscription parameters. Because on an event, what you're checking to see is, it's a narrowing of the event. It's like, it should be for this or this or this, etc. But it's more about not what it changed from or to. It's more what it is now when you see it. Move that. So this is more event subscription parameters. And again, I'm always interested if anybody's created a system like this in the past, if anyone's gone through this kind of flexible notifications thing. How have you dealt with it? Are the things that you've found that were pitfalls, or the things that you found were actually way easier than you expected? So events would go to. I gotta be careful how much stuff I move. Oh, that's what I was worried about. Oh. Probably the right way to do it, wouldn't it? So this would be event, and then this would be the events, and you wouldn't subscribe. You go to one on this one. You wouldn't subscribe to 3 different events at the same time. It'd only ever be one event, and you could do multiple subscriptions, but each subscription would only be one event. And this would be tasks added. And you could also have again, I only care about added events here, not about updated. That's updated. Um, um, let's stay on deliverables right now. So everything I'm doing right now is focused on deliverables. That's the middle ground of everything, and that will give the most flexibility in terms of testing this. And then as I grow that out and figure out what the patterns look like, then I can expand to initiatives. What I might not do is I might not build out initiative notifications and task notifications immediately. I might get this system working and testable, and then focus on displaying the changes in the actual UI, because there is a feed of changes that come through. I just need to enrich that a little bit, and then that at that point it gets the idea of the events and the notifications across. It gets the structure in place, and it starts to become more demonstrable. So I think I might want to look at that point of when do I let people play with this, because I think at that point it's quite a rich system. Um, so as far as deliverables concerned, tasks added, tasks updated, um, um, completed. If this shifts to completed, I care about it. And it's not just tasks completed. That's the deliverable completed, right? Those are the sample events that could happen. But then we want to know when, how. So how goes to communication. So basically, what happens here is when you register the notification with a notification system, it gives you back an ID. You then turn around to communications and register, hey, I care about this subscription, and here's how I want to be told about that thing. So this will track, not just the notifications, it also track um, day of week. So this would go the traditional route. This would allow you to select one or more parameters, and it'd be, parameter, 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 and that would be a subscription. This would allow you to do one event to subscribe to, and it would allow you to configure that event, but you don't get to just say, oh, I want to care about tasks added and tasks updated, because there's no point in that design. Okay. Okay, any changes? Changes. Okay, so I'll probably want to merge these things. I'm just trying to get this planned. So what's the next step? So I think one of the next steps is going to be getting the um, think it's modifying this to understand this style. So let's go and add the task for that. Update data schema for notifications. We're going to add subscription type. Descriptions, and yeah, I know what that is. We're going to, what else did I need to do there? Parameters remain as they are. Parameters will work exactly parameters will work the way designed, but I don't need to do parameters right this second. I can keep the status one in there, but that just needs a little bit more flex. What else do I need to do here? I need to introduce event. Would I store? I'm debating whether I store the actual event on the subscription. So if I select event as a subscription type, do I store the event on the subscription, or do I store that as a separate thing? Because then it's blurring. It seems to make sense here. So if I select event, then I'm going to have an event type, an event actual that I'm subscribing to. If I select parameters, then there's no event type, but it feels odd to have event type in there. Mongolo, hello, how you doing? Welcome in. I'm always cautious about doing that. Well, I'm more cautious these days because of the way that Kaizu is developed. I've focused a lot on breaking up behavior and making sure things do what they need to do and not what everything else needs to do. So, and obviously that comes with some cost. It comes with a lot of complexity. Again, as a solo developer, I would never advise doing this sort of development because it's just too much to take in. I find myself relearning parts of my own system. But do I have anything better for it right this second? I don't think I have anything better for it. That's the challenge. So I think we end up with add event type to subscriptions. We're going to support a many to one on subscriptions notifications. Just sorry, something smells weird. We support a many to one on subscriptions, capturing parameter and event subscriptions. Subscription type subscriptions and event type subscriptions. We're going to introduce event. I think we're going to overuse the word subscriptions. Event subscription parameters. What should that contain? What would that be? I think I want at least the project. So this would be a property. Now the challenge will be, no, it has to be a field on the thing we're asking for. So task added. I don't want it if the task is added for a deliverable that is on. Oh no, because you can't have a project. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. um, property name, um, value, um, description, event subscription parameters, one to many, and not filters, not. Yeah, so I'm trying to keep the notes for myself there so that I know that when it comes to these are not the same as these ones where these are like, oh, if the status changes from in progress to complete, or the status changes to um from this initiative to that initiative or whatever, or rather, if things change to these values or from these values, I want to know about it. This is more, I only care about a notification if it falls within the parameters of this. So if I want to select I only care if it's on Liquid Sky front end. I only care if it's assigned to me, right? So if things change assigned to me, I want to be told about them immediately, etc. So, yeah, let's select the project. This is definitely backend. Let's select team, development team, create that task. Creating the task gives me the reference. Now I can go and create the branches and stuff off of that reference and build the actual code. So we're going to update the schema for the notifications. We're going to update subscription endpoint. So the way that Kaizu is designed, by the way, is what I've got here is I've got a requirement against this deliverable. And the deliverable is the bigger thing. In this case, I'm using it to deliver this entire feature set of deliverable notifications in the initial phase. So it's a big piece of work. It's not a story. It's more epic description. And now what I'm doing is I'm going breaking the task down as to how do I achieve that. And I've gone back and forth with people on how this should work, like what I'm actually trying to do here. And what I'm trying to do is make sure the developers can just break down the code without worrying about too much story splitting. This is the story splitting. This is we can do this, we can do this. And then the deliverable is not actually ready until its acceptance criteria on all its requirements have been met. You can deliver value, but you can size the deliverables as much as you want or as little as you want, right? The requirements could actually be the individual acceptance criteria if you wanted it to do it that way, and to add relevant tasks. But the idea of this is to make sure that you can see, oh, there's actually a task on DevOps, there's a task on QA, there's a task on whatever, and those tasks show you the picture of what actually is happening in the different teams. If QA has a task in here, it's still a task for them to do. They just need to, it might be associated to another task. So they'd see their board, they'd see their tasks, they'd see the things they need to achieve, and they'd see what's blocking them from doing certain things. That's the goal. So it doesn't matter if we work independently or as a team. Like if you worked as a team, like the QA and everything was sat inside the same group, then the tasks would just show on the same board. It's not that difficult. But if you actually did work as separate teams, which I have experienced, then they could be told, oh, by the way, this task is now ready. So my goal there is to say, okay, well, the board would have a blocked column, and those blocks would just be by virtue of tasks not existing in a completed state on another board, right? So or in a triggered state, not necessarily completed. I think I do want to provide some flex there to that, but that's a long-term vision of that. But the idea being that I'm breaking down this work in the way I need to break it down. Subscription endpoint, good at set a this is an interesting one. I think this challenges me a little bit more. So notifications, subscriptions, subscribe. I didn't put features in there, yeah. So subscription deliverable. So that gives me the identifier and the parameters of the subscription. So now I need this parameters changes a little bit because this could be this could be nullable, and the event parameters versus the subscription parameters, and this was needs event type. Accept event type event subscription type event type event parameters parameters extend remain but become nullable as event. Yeah, so we're still going to build it all on the client. Development team. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to need, so that would capture that would capture that. This is all revolving around actually capturing the data, actually capturing the parameters, not actually doing the thing. This is where we actually do the thing. So receive summary email. This is where we start to talk about the schedules and stuff, the scheduler, etc. So even though it's part of this component, the scheduler will live there. So this isn't about determining whether you need to be told. This is about determining how you want to be told. This is about being able to maintain that properly so we can clean them up and remove subscriptions. And then this one is actually the need for doing the thing. And again, this is the sort of thing, like, as a product manager, I just want to care about seeing an email, right? That's why I'm doing it this way, because I just want to tell the story. If I want to see an email, I don't want to have to spend a great deal of time sat down with the development team going through the why and how and what needs to change, etc. I want the development team to go off and figure out, how do you achieve this thing? Is this reasonable? And can you achieve this thing? And that's why there's the middle state. So as the developers look at the deliverable screen, right, they see deliverables ready for review. So the PM knows, oh, I've handed it over to the development team, right? This can go back, right? If the development team are like, no, this actually needs further review, that'll go back there. And again, that's a status that the PM could actually subscribe to be told immediately if something gets moved back to ready for review. I don't want to make too much noise, which is why I'm making that a configurable thing rather than a default thing, right? Even though they're the PM, it might make sense for them to be told immediately, but they might not actually care because they've got a review date on that thing anyway. So they might say, hey, take a look at it. I'll set a review date for a couple of days. And then they'll also see where it sits in here, because they'll know this is now not within development. This is back into review, which will put it back here. Oh, no. Yes, it'll put it back here. So it'll pop back into their vision anyway. So the idea is to move these things around so that they go in and out of the right, they go in and out of the site at the same time. So ready for review would show in here now, and it wouldn't show in here, which means that the PM would know about it anyway, but they might want to be told. So I want to give the flexibility of the system saying, hey, something happened. But anyway, that is for another time, I'm afraid. So I am going to continue trying to plan some of this out. I know it's not been exactly a coding stream, but that's fine. This is all in the intent of getting a lot of development done in a couple of weeks. Again, if you haven't been here before, I've been developing Kaizu for a couple of years. I'm building on these ideas. I'm building this system. It is a large distributed system that you are more than welcome to ask questions about. I use a lot of .NET. I use a lot of different technologies in here, and you're more than welcome to chat if you're interested. Whether you're new to software development or you're experienced, I care about your opinions and your thoughts and your questions. So, 1, 2, 3. Hello, how you doing? What's your day job? My day job is a Director of Engineering. I'm a manager. So I've been a developer for almost 30 years. Um, a relatively new thing to switch into more management than actual hands-on development. Um, but yeah, so this is a system that I've been building out of a desire to build something not just to, hey, I can solve this problem better. This is I want to learn more about how I would do this system. So Kaizu is a large distributed system, lots of moving parts, lots of toys in here. GraphQL, Kafka, Postgre, Redis, Angular. I've got gateways. I've got all sorts of stuff in here. So, but yeah, you're always more than welcome to ask questions. Um, and yeah, I do stream Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 Eastern. I am in the US, no matter what my accent says. Um, and I am hoping to get more streams up either later in the evenings, my time, or on weekends again. I did actually do a Saturday stream last week, and it was very productive. So hope I can get some weekend streams up here and there. But yeah, so where are you? Where are you? Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. Um, so on this, this is a lot of work to do. This is a lot of changes. This is a lot of moving parts. I've got to merge LSP 6 in and get that done. That will help me move that forward. So we'll get that completed. Then we'll move to the LSP7 piece, get these pieces in there, and the goal will be very much to get this flow of getting this screen in there early next week, so we can start capturing the requirements. And once we've done that, then it's about, I think I'd probably shift to telling you about it before I would shift to removing it. I've yet to. I want to introduce a priority on these things so that they can be set, which means just because all these requirements are here doesn't mean that a PM can't say, okay, that's good enough for now. I'll shift this requirement out and stuff. I've got a plan for that. Whether these can be flexed later, but that's not for right this second. So the goal would be to get the capturing in there and then get the actual thing in there. But if I don't build the right base here, this will become a nightmare. There's too many moving pieces to track. And even yesterday, I was adding in extra to get the notifications to be rich enough. I had to add a load of extra columns, and I actually changed events notifications to track tenant identifier more closely, so I can filter data down quicker. Because this is not going to be small. But yeah. So anyway, unfortunately, that is the end for me. I do have to go and work. They do pay me for that. If you are interested in other developers that are streaming, do stream development of application stuff, I would highly recommend checking out maybe stream maybe works in React Native, I believe, and all of the languages, multi-talented, but streams the development of Barely Fit, which is a fitness and health application that is available on the Play Store and the Apple Store right now. So that's Barely Fit and is awesome. So highly recommend checking that out and watch maybe stream, because it's a good place to hang out. But for right now, we are going to go and raid into Stony Eagle. Warning: Stony plays music. Stony has a little bit more energy, and the language is a little bit more spicy. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming and hanging out. I will be back at the very least on Tuesday. Keep an eye out. If you are interested again, you can join Discord and come and hang out and chat. If you have questions about software development, if you're starting your journey as a software developer, if you want some help, understanding how to navigate this world, or if you're an experienced developer and you want a few people that have that care about software development and you want opinions, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. But for now, thank you very much, Canny. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. 123. I hope you are well and have a great day. And yeah, so let's go raid Stony, and I'll see you all again soon. And I need a Stream Deck setup again. I got rid of my Stream Deck. I'll see you later all. Bye.